What is up, guys? Welcome back to another NBA-filled episode of Boleros. Gab, the Sultan of Sando. Yan, hindi ko na nasabi yung Sam. Gab, the Sultan of Sando here with the prophet himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Maui Up. And somewhere out there on vacation, Mr. Sam Santos, not doing the intro because as you can see, he is only in standard definition and very grainy as the internet on where he is currently at is not cooperating. So, uh, what we're gonna talk about today is the NBA playoffs. If this is your first time you're watching our NBA content, this is in partnership with pusopi.com. Check out our score predictions and join the score prediction game on pusopi.com. Just create an account. Click the score prediction, the scores game prediction option there in the menu, and you can see the upcoming playoff games and just predict your scores. And then if you get things right, if you accumulate the most points at the end of the NBA playoffs, you get prizes courtesy of Smart. So I heard that the prices are pretty good. So join us and compete with us, Boleros. Alam ko si Maui na near the top 3 na ata or top 2 ng score prediction game. So try nyo talunin si Maui. Siya lang actually kasi nag-predict na mananalo ang Lakers eh. So yung kaya siya nasa top. So hindi ko alam hindi ko alam kung ikaw pa rin yung nasa top, Maui, given na the Lakers have lost the last 2. But again, you rose to the top because you were making the Lakers to win. So your points shot up the rankings. All right, so that's our topic for today. As Sam has lost his internet connection, our topic is players / coaches / PMs, if you want, or president of basketball operations on the hot seat so far in the playoffs. So, syempre, kung players, we're not that they're gonna get fired or whatever, but on the hot seat, meaning is their reputation on the line? Is their career on the line? Is their legacy on the line? For coaches, obviously, is their job on the line? Is something else on the line for them currently? Some teams have already been eliminated. Some teams are still fighting. Some teams are making a comeback. No more, please, Houston Rockets. Stop it. Coaches / players / GMs on hot seat. Maui, I'll go to you first. Maybe we'll do 3 rounds of this because Sammy's not here. Who's your first person on the hot seat so far in the NBA playoffs?
Ako, you just said it about the Houston Rockets. I think Ime Udoka and Kevin Durant are both on the hot seat. I think si Durant is purposely now sitting on the bench and trying to look lively. I think Udoka is on the hot seat again, but now for very different reasons for the performance of his team. Lucky for them, I think the young guns have stepped up. Jabari Smith has been playing pretty well. Amen Thompson is his usual self, disruptor on both ends of the floor. And Sengun has been a great facilitator the past few games. But I would have to say definitely si Udoka and Durant because they have been all over the place all throughout the season, calling out the young guns. Kevin Durant not being able to play the last few games. And I don't know, the Rockets fortunately have been playing pretty well the past 2 games, much to the dismay of us LeBron James or Lakers fans. But I would still think that Udoka is on the hot seat. I think si Udoka is the one that is really on the hot seat, and maybe si Kevin Durant. But it's pretty crazy to say. Both of these guys are, Udoka is a pretty well-known coach, diba? The only reason he was fired sa Boston was because of off-court issues. Si Durant, on the other hand, has been on the hot seat on most of his teams after exiting Golden State. So I don't know how it works out. Maybe he pulls out a game seven. If the Rockets extend this to game seven, maybe Kevin Durant plays and they eliminate the Lakers and become the first team in NBA history to go advance to the next round after being down 0-3. But I would think these two guys, because it has been a pretty disappointing season for the Houston Rockets so far.
Totally agree. One of my top picks is definitely see Ime Udoka because how are you down zero? We're down. How are you down 0-3 to a Lakers team without their top two scorers in Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic? It does not make sense. I don't get it. I'm sure a lot of Houston Rockets fans were angry at Ime Udoka, especially after that Game 3 collapse. Although right now they're looking really good after winning Game 4 and now beating the Lakers at home to force a Game 6. So it's not looking good for the Lakers, but also it has not looked good for Ime Udoka. The lack of offensive flow, at times the lack of lineups with shooting has really did them in. The sloppiness, the amount of turnovers that they cough up from a game to game basis are is pretty staggering. As we welcome Sam Santos back, look at that dark skinned man. But yeah, see, Ime Udoka is not looking good, and their their defense has stepped up. I think it's the reason why they've they've come back and won two straight games here against the Lakers because they're just grinding it out more on defense and forcing the Lakers to turn the ball over more. As you saw in the game early, I think they limited them to 93 points. Yung tawa Maui, I think 93 points. Uh, so they're turning a corner here. I'm not now. If they lose this series, now Austin Reeves has come back, but he hasn't been there for the first four games. If they lose this series, I would look to the Houston Rockets making a coaching change, because what if they lose? It's unacceptable. Again, there was no Luka Doncic and no Austin Reeves for majority of this series, and they lost three games. That cannot happen. If they win, perhaps his job is saved. But if they lose, this is a drastic failure for Houston. Sammy, bawo ka yung wala ulit. You want to give your take? One of yung sabi ni Maui, the Houston Rockets / Ime Udoka is a coach on the hot seat.
Yeah, hello, can you guys hear me? I'm on my phone now. Hindi kinaya ng internet ng laptop ko yung internet. Anyway, I agree on Ime Udoka, especially after game 3, 'di ba? They were down 3-0. The Lakers weren't expected to win this series, much less be up 3-0. But it really depends siguro on the results of this series. Looks like all the momentum's with Houston now. So maybe they've turned the corner. But if they lose, I'm hoping they do. I think Udoka is definitely going to be on the hot seat. But siguro another person that I would blame on the Rockets would be KD. Kasi people expected a lot from KD. The Rockets expected a lot from him. He was supposed to be the missing piece that
He's
would
not. He
put the
just reported
Rockets.
he's not playing on in game 6.
Talaga? Hindi ko pa nakita yun. So,
Yep,
yun. So,
just
he's not
just
playing again
announced.
for them in game 6. It has been a disappointing season for the Rockets and for KD. This is like KD's third team since coming from the Warriors, and in all those teams he's basically disappointed. So I think he's like a player on the hot seat because every team he goes to, it hasn't been good. It hasn't ended well. So I agree with Ime. I would also put KD there. Um, if they lose this series, if actually even if they win and the past two games they've won without KD. What does that say about KD, diba? It seems like they're better off if they don't let KD play. If they let the younger guys play. So lose kay KD whether they win the series or not. But for Ime, definitely if matalo sila sa Lakers because they were supposed to beat this LeBron-led Lakers team easily.
Ang gandang point ni Sammy about KD's last three stops not ending well. And remember, he wanted to go to Houston. Diba? I think that was the reporting. He demanded that he wanted to play for the Houston Rockets. And if they lose in the first round to a Lakers team that's very much depleted, the legacy of KD takes a hit. I mean, he won his 2 titles, but he joined a 73 team. You know, that's always the knock on KD. Yeah, you won 2 titles, but you know, you joined a team that was already strong. So now that you choose your own path, you're not winning. Nothing has gone well for you in Brooklyn, in Phoenix, and now in Houston. If they lose, yeah, I think Sami, KD is definitely on the hot seat. Okay, I'll go to my pick, and it's 2 players from the number 1 seed in the East, the Detroit Pistons, who just forced a game 6 themselves, but they were down previously 3-1 to the 8th seed Orlando Magic. You know, I was completely ready to name Jamal Mosley as a coach on the hot seat here. Because I watched the Orlando Magic for majority of the season, and even towards the end of the season, I think Maui used them, and they look bad. They look like shiz. You know, they did not play well at all, even in the play-in against Sixers. They did not play well. Suddenly, nag-start yung playoffs. Ang galing na nila. I think really it's a good matchup for them because it's relatively easy to defend the Pistons, which goes to my pick. The 2 players that I have on the hot seat here are 1, Jalen Duren, and number 2, Asar Thompson. I'll go to Duren. What the hell are you doing, bro? You're losing the playoff series and you're losing the Angel Reese Bowl. I think his highest scoring game is 12 points. A while ago in game number 5 and in game 4, he scored 12 points in both games. It's a good sign that he scored 12 points. He was scoring 8 points, 10 points in the first 4 games of the series, and in the first 3 games of the series. And he has been thoroughly outplayed by Wendell Carter Jr. This is a player who's probably going to make all NBA with the amount of players that have missed the cut. He's probably going to make an all NBA team, whether it's the second team or the third team. He's probably going to make one. And he's looked like crap. He cannot make plays for himself. And that's the reason why it's been so hard for Cade. He has to carry a ton of the offensive load. Their secondary option has been Tobias Harris, and that's been a problem too. And the fact that Jalen Duren has not been reliable at all spells a lot of for the Pistons. Even if they move on to the next round, their next opponent takes from what the Orlando Magic did. Just body up Jalen Duren, just make Cade do everything, and which leads to my next point. There's no space for Cade, primarily because he played the majority of his minutes with another non-shooter. So Jalen Duren is not a shooter. He's mostly their role guy. See, Asar Thompson cannot at all, and that. If you watch Game 4, actually, if you watch the entire series, but Game 4 when they went down 3-1, you saw in the fourth quarter, I think they made one field goal in the last 5 minutes. They were just loading up on Cade Cunningham. They were just leaving Asar Thompson alone. I think his role is better suited when he's like his brother Amen Thompson last season when they had you see free Fred Van Vliet there. A guy in a different spot, a guy who gets most of his shots near or at the rim. Right now, he can't do that because Jalen Duren is there. So those two guys playing together becomes very predictable to stop the Detroit Pistons. Cade was awesome a while ago, had 45 points, but if you rely a lot on Cade Cunningham to score you 40 plus points per game, you're in big trouble. And if you watch this series, uh, I think you are not going to be very confident about the Detroit Pistons moving forward because it's just one guy. You just have to defend one guy, and perhaps Duncan Robinson, because he's their only shooter left. The other guys can't hit their shots. Tobias Harris can't hit his three right now. Thompson can shoot. Jalen Duran sure can shoot, and he can't make a play for himself at all. Uh, it's a hot seat situation for me because if the front office is looking at this, they're they're gonna have to say that as moving forward, we cannot have Asar Thompson on this team with Cade Cunningham and Durant. It's a spacing problem, and if this continues, I think they'll be now they won't trade him immediately. As a part of their future, they're gonna have to think about it. Now he makes a lot of defensive plays. He's the number one steals guy in the NBA. If you look at the game earlier, a lot of hustle plays, but mahirap. And for Jalen Duren, is this gonna be legacy? You're a choke guy in the playoffs, and people are not gonna care about you in the regular season or what you do in the regular season, but what you do in the playoffs. Essentially, it's gonna be a James Harden if he continues to choke this much, right? So, two guys, Maui.
Yeah, actually, Jalen Duren was one of my picks. Maybe you can put si Osar Thompson along, but it's basically the Detroit Pistons supporting cast, and I think it boils down to them really not having shooters, as you mentioned. Tobias Harris has been an atrocious shooter in the playoffs, shooting I think lower than 20% from 3-point land. Duncan Robinson has struggled also, but it boils down to Duren for me because he's the all-star. As you mentioned, he's the guy that's gonna be making an All NBA, maybe both All NBA team and All NBA defensive team. And he's been nothing short of disappointing this offseason to the point that I think he's already in the rumors that the Lakers are somebody that could target him in the offseason because the Pistons might not be willing to give him a maximum extension. But yeah, Duran flashed so much upside during the season, creating his own shot off the dribble, creating off the high post, maximizing opportunities with Cade Cunningham, and so far it has been a big disappointment. It's one of the reasons why they have had to try to get over a 3-1 hump in the playoffs. But I think it's still possible. I think it's still possible that the Pistons could defeat the Magic, but they will have to step up. Harris has to hit from the outside. Osar Thompson has to do other things, not just on the defensive end. And Duncan Robinson has to get hot. Cade Cunningham cannot score 40 points every game. Cade Cunningham is most effective when he can facilitate and score at the same time. And let's see. But I'm hoping si Big Jalen Duren, as they say, will bounce back because this is a guy that a lot of people are pretty high on. He's pretty young. This is his first crack in the playoffs, and you cannot be benched for the end game. He has to do
Second,
better.
he, he was in the playoffs yung last year.
Second.
Sammy, your thoughts on Jalen Duren and Asar Thompson? They were my guys on the hot seat.
Yeah, I think si Jalen Duren especially because he was an all-star. Sabi mo nga, he's probably going to make it to the All NBA this year. So lots of expectations from him. this season, especially since he's basically like the number two guy to Cade sa Detroit, and Detroit's the number one team. I think yun eh, 'di ba? Like if the roles were reversed, let's say they were the number 8 team or they were the lower seeded team in this matchup, baka not a lot of pressure for them, for Duran and Thompson. But the fact is they're the number one team in the East, and they're going against a team, Orlando, that looked so bad before the playoffs started, lost to the G League Boston Celtics before the end of the season. So nobody expected everybody expected Detroit to steamroll Orlando, and now it's, it's a close fight, it's a close series. I love this pick also because I also picked their coach, JB Bickerstaff, as a guy on the hot seat, just because um he's done this before. He hasn't proven himself in the playoffs. During the season, he mm, he brings the team, he makes the team a top seed. He did it in Cleveland, 'di ba? They were one of the best teams. So everyone's impressed, but every time they reach the playoffs, they always disappoint. So I would also pick Bickerstaff as a person on the hot seat if they lose to the number 8 seed. Now, there are a lot of teams that have lost to the number 8, but still, it's disappointing. And I think that's a reason for changing your coach, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think si JB Bickerstaff is the Mark Jackson of this Pistons team. He's gonna get them to be good. That they're gonna hire a new coach that totally revamps their
Ganda yun.
offense yung and their style of play, and then they're gonna be good. I still think this team is good. They have a good core, young core, but they need desperately to get more shooters there. You get more spacing. They need the better offense rather than Cade Cunningham. They just throw it to Cade. So let's see. It seems like he still has the ear and uh, of of the team. The team still responds to him, pero yeah, he hasn't been successful in the playoffs at all. That's a good point, Sam. So I don't know. He may be the Mark Jackson. Sammy, while you're here, mag-pick ka na ng person on the hot seat
Uh,
mo.
uh, I hate to go back to the Lakers and Rockets, but since I already mentioned KD, I wanted to pick the two vets of that series, LeBron and KD. So I talked about KD na. I think LeBron is also on the hot seat because I know we don't expect a lot from a
Ako,
41-year-old
magagalit si Maui sa'yo
main
yan.
guy,
Ano pinili si
pero
Lebron?
hindi, teka, kasi they were up 3-0 and wala pang nananalo, or a team hasn't lost being up 3-0. But after the game today, it feels like Houston is has all the momentum, and I don't want, I hate to say this, I don't want to see this, but that could be another ano ba, another ding on LeBron's legacy na he will he will be the player who loses for the
That's a
first
good
time
point,
being up
though.
three
That's a good
zero
point,
in
though.
3-0 in the playoffs, diba? So it will hurt his legacy. So I think there is pressure on LeBron to win this series. Whether si Austin Reeves will be healthier or Luka can come back, LeBron has to find a way to win the series. Kasi if he loses this series, the Jordan Kobe fans will not let LeBron hear the end of it. So I think he is on the hot seat, especially after today.
Wrong side of
Yung,
history ba? May sinasabi.
oh, yung,
Exactly.
parang narinig ko na yung, yung mga arguments ng mga LeBron haters. Michael Jordan yung never lost a 0-3, tapos yung mga sagot ng mga LeBron
Nobody.
fans. No, you nobody.
Yun nga
Yung
eh.
at 41, Jordan didn't even make the playoff. Parang ganun, or something like that. Diba? Yung mga ganun eh. Yung narinig ko na yung mga arguments eh. How is your reaction? The LeBron fan among us.
I think it's outrageous to say that LeBron is on the hot seat. Diba? In the first place, when you look at the predictions before the series, nobody. I think if you look at yung
True,
analysts lahat,
true.
I think I looked at the list, 19 people predicted that the Lakers will be blown out of the water in the first round. And only one, I can't remember who that one was, who predicted that the Lakers
Maui up.
would
Maui up was
still
the
win.
only one.
Would still win. But I think it's outrageous, diba? The LeBron is a 41-year-old. This is not his team right now, but still, yeah, it definitely will be a ding, diba? When you are on the wrong side of history as a person, as a top 10 guy who has that blemish on his record, diba? I still think it's outrageous yung argument, just because I mean, just look at Jordan. He didn't even make the playoffs, diba, at 40. But still, that's the pedestal you put yourself on. When you,
Yan yung argument.
no. But still, that's the pedestal you have to put yourself on when you want to be considered the greatest of all time. You cannot, under no circumstances, you want to avoid any dings on your record. So I see the argument that LeBron is on the hot seat, and I think the way he reacted sa press conference and post game conference, I think there's the pressure is on. The way he answered the questions, the way he reacted, I think the Lakers have to win this for him.
True. Agree with you, Maui.
Sige, I'll go to my next pick and then let's go with Maui. I'm picking a player who unfortunately just left with an injury a while ago. I'm picking Brandon Ingram as a player on the hot seat because this guy was signed to an extension by the Raptors, and his job was one thing: to score. He has done absolutely not that in this series against the Cavs. I think he scored 7 points in game 2, scored 17 in game 1, scored 12 only in game 3. Then eventually got going in game 4 with 23 points, but he left the game earlier. I think it was a heel injury. So I'm not entirely. I hope it's not a tear, an Achilles tear there. But yeah, I mean, the Raptors signed you and put you on their team to score, and you're not doing that. RJ Barrett and si Barnes, the one doing the scoring for you and trying to lift your ass up, trying to cover your ass in this series, and you can't get anything to fall. Shoot 40% from the field. Uh, it's crazy. He's not doing anything much out of that. He's not playmaking. He's not providing much defense, and now he's injured. It's a player that is known as a scorer, and he's just not doing it. And he looks bad right now. Si Barnes and si RJ Barrett look to be the guys who have answered the call. And if you want to extend it to another player who has been bad for the Raptors, Jakob Poeltl. Uh, how outplayed by your 6'7" backup rookie? Just it's crazy to me. Against a team with a perfect matchup that I think you're the perfect matchup for you because you can play against this team. They're not gonna go small on you. You can just match up against the big guys. You can literally play it in majority of the game, and I don't think you'll be taken advantage of on the perimeter. But still, Colin Murray Boyles is outplaying Jakob Poeltl. And the Raptors gave both of these guys extension. Insane money. Jakob Poeltl and Brandon Ingram, they gave extensions to. So, and they're not performing in the playoffs. You got
It's
them
so
to
bad.
do, diba? You got Brandon Ingram to score. He's not doing it. You got Jakob Pertl to be a big, to provide inside scoring to defend opposing bigs, and he can't do it. And he's being outplayed by his backup rookie, who's sick of it. Insane, insane. I don't want to say they choked, but they kind of choked a while ago. They had a big lead in the third quarter and then lost the game in overtime. In the fourth quarter, they're down 3-2. They have a chance. They still have a chance, but it's mainly because of Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett. I don't want to count Emmanuel quickly. He's dealing with plantar fasciitis. It's a hard injury to get over, but Jakob Pertl and Brandon Ingram have been very bad for Toronto. Maui, okay, go first.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the only positive with Toronto is that Scotty Barnes is performing in the playoffs, and that RJ Barrett and TMB have been revelations. I think si Barrett has surprised me the most because I don't think a lot of I think he's one of the most underrated performers so far sa playoffs. He's been very consistently scoring 20 a game, hitting a few three-pointers. I think yung free throws lang, yung only thing that have really plagued RJ Barrett still in the playoffs. He's shooting 58%. But I think he's been playing out of his mind and one of the most underrated performers. Which is why it's the main reasons why I think Toronto has still been able to hang with Cleveland despite not having quickly and despite Ingram being a big disappointment. I think si Ingram, I would have to say, is turning into the new age DeMar DeRozan. Somebody who you can expect to score 20 to 25 points. Raptors did. Somebody who you can expect to score 20 to 25 on a consistent basis in the regular season, but somebody that you cannot rely on in the playoffs. Even during his stint in the New Orleans Pelicans, I remember in 2023, he had a very abysmal playoff series. And I'm checking right now, he had, in a season where he averaged 21 a game, he scored 14 a game, shooting 35% ng playoffs. So Ingram has really underperformed after a stellar performance in his playoff debut in 2021. And I think the good thing is Toronto's young guns, the ones who they can expect to lead this team in the future, are slowly becoming are good revelations. Diba? CMB, a lot of people were destroying the Raptors for picking an undersized big man. He's looked like a mini Draymond Green in the playoffs, in my opinion, so far. He's been able to guard all positions on the floor. He's been able to rebound the ball pretty well. Very impactful despite not needing to score a lot of points. And maybe the Raptors have to reset after this. I think very good points that Jakob Portel and Ingram are on the hot seats. Maybe si Quickly, if he also played. Quickly has been an injury-prone player historically, but very good showings by the young guns, which leads me to think that they could potentially reset this lineup despite becoming the 5th seed this year.
Sam.
Yeah, nothing to add. Iniisip ko lang si Brandon Ingram. Would you rather have Brandon Ingram's career on parang Brandon Ingram on your team, or yung si Ben Simmons, like 5 good years of Ben Simmons and then wala na, or like just 10 years of Brandon Ingram? More or less they've earned the same amount, roughly like a little over 200 million. Those two picks seem to be sure bets when they started out, pero it hasn't turned out
You never
well
really
for
know
either.
You never really know.
Yun lang.
Siguro just to go back to Ben Simmons. When Ben Simmons started, I think we were all high on Ben Simmons. Lahat tayo para he just
Hell
learns
yeah.
how
The
to
next
shoot.
KD.
Diba?
The next
Yeah.
KD.
Crazy.
Just,
Crazy.
hindi nga 3-point shot diba? I think every fan will look at Ben Simmons. Sabi natin, he just knows, kahit mid-range shot, yun lang
Ben
ang,
Simmons.
if he,
I was thinking Ingram.
diba?
Ingram, next KD. Oo, tama. Si Ingram.
The
Yun
Tapos si
next
Ben
kasi,
LeBron and
Simmons.
KD.
Next LeBron and KD. Tama, Maui. Next LeBron and KD. And look at where they are now. It's crazy.
it's crazy, no? And si I do remember the first game of the season. He was interviewed after our Raptors win. And I think they put up 120. And sabi ni BI sa post-game interview, BI is hate because I think he scored 30 plus points and they were gonna score. Where are you now, BI? You need to score. And he has not been doing that. So yeah, Maui, your pick for
Yeah, ako,
player or coach on the hot seat.
yeah, my next pick is definitely a team that can still redeem themselves, di ba? But I think I have to pick the Denver Nuggets supporting cast, particularly Christian Brown, the two Browns. Sorry, Christian Brown and Cameron Johnson plus maybe sama mo na sige si Brown. Yeah, I think the supporting cast of the Denver Nuggets have to step up. I think the coverage of the Timberwolves have been pretty great with regards to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. That Game 5 win showed that the supporting cast have to come out. Even Valanciunas has to play better, but I think a lot of it really boils down to Cameron Johnson because they're comparing him to Michael Porter Jr., a player who they decided to trade to get some much needed depth. But yeah, I think these guys have to step up. Di ba si Christian Brown just signed the 125 by 5 contract. So I think they have to step up to save the season of Nikola Jokic, Denver Nuggets. These guys are gonna be instrumental if they are to beat Minnesota 3 straight times. Remember, si Anthony Edwards will be out, but they were beaten without Anthony Edwards when Somnu was smoking fire nung one of the games. And I think for the Nuggets to be able to really go deep into the playoffs, not just potentially defeat the Timberwolves after this 3-1 disadvantage, the other guys have to step up. Aaron Gordon has been in and out of the lineup. I don't know when Peyton Watson will go back. So I think Christian Brown and Cameron Johnson will have to score in double figures in all of the games for them to have a chance.
I was kind of shocked you picked this. Actually, Maui, the supporting guys. But I can see your point. With all the injuries that they have, the other guys have to step up. Cam Johnson has been up and down the entire season. I know I've had him in my fantasy teams. I dropped him in some spots and then I added him and then he sucked again. So he's been up and down and he has not woken up. He woke up in game 5, but overall he has not been good. It makes the trade him to get off of Michael Porter Jr. look really bad, especially with how Michael Porter Jr. looked this season with the Brooklyn Nets. It may have been a wrong move to move on from Michael Porter Jr. Given the lack of any other offensive option aside from Jokic and Murray. Yeah, Peyton Watson might have helped. I don't think I think si David Adelman, their coach, has a built-in excuse that the fact that his team is banged up, but they have Jokic and Murray and the others. Sasabi mo Maui, they have to step up. Siguro for me, they're on a warm seat, not really on a hot seat, because I think the blame, if ever they lose, would still go to a guy like Jokic, si Murray, or their coach. I don't think you people will remember that si Christian Brown sucked in this series or si Cameron Johnson sucked in this series. They will most people 2 to 3 years from now will look back at this and say si Jokic and Murray lost in the first round. On a team, in which they had a team that was very capable of making it to at least a conference finals. Sammy.
Yeah, I agree. For me, then if they lose this series to the Wolves, I think the Denver team is on the hot seat. I get where Maui is coming from. I actually had Denver, but I would put more blame on Jokic and Murray also because now that Minnesota doesn't have Dante DiVincenzo, Anthony Edwards is hurt. If they still lose this series, it's just like the LeBron discussion, 'di ba? Na parang it's a dent on Jokic's legacy. So far he's only won one championship, so we're expecting for a guy of Jokic's level, we're expecting multiple championships. At least si KD nakadalawa kahit na sinabi mong dinaya niya, 'di ba? Sumali siya sa Warriors. Nakadalawa siya. So yeah, I get why Denver is on the hot seat. I'm going with my next pick. Actually, marami na akong na-mention, JB Bickerstaff, KD, LeBron. I can't believe this hasn't been mentioned. I assume this would be one of the top picks. I'm going with the Knicks, Mikal Bridges, as a player on the hot
Okay,
seat.
yeah, that's a good one.
Diba?
He sucks.
He sucks. He sucked the entire series. Sometimes he would play like 20 minutes lang in the series. Buti na lang Jalen Brunson and Carl Anthony Towns has saved his butt and they're leading the series now and well they have the momentum so hopefully the Knicks win, but if you're in New York and you're dealing with New York media, somebody has to get the blame. There's a lot more pressure sa New York because New York hasn't won a championship in a long time, and it's the concrete jungle. It's New York City, so so much expectations. You can't be the starting wing, getting paid a ton of money, and playing like that. That just can't happen, and um people will always remind him and people will always talk about how many first round picks, how many picks the Knicks traded just to get Mikal Bridges to the team. And because of that, they can't get better players like Giannis, who's been waiting to be traded to the Knicks. So if the Knicks, I don't think they're going to lose to Atlanta, but if the Knicks disappoint this playoff series, maybe lose in the second round or maybe not miss the finals. I'm pretty and Mikal plays like this all throughout. He's going to get a ton of the blame. Carl Anthony Towns, you are safe. You're not the scapegoat anymore because someone is worse than you.
Wala yung winner si Kat.
Dati si Kat
Si
di
Kat
ba?
pala yung winner
Ngayon si
dito.
Mikal na. Big winner, Carl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, for
I love
somebody,
that
for
pick.
a guy,
Oh,
go ahead, Gab.
Go, Maui.
For somebody you're paying $150 million for 4 seasons, it's 40 million on 2029, 2030. I think Mikal Bridges is better than his current average of 7 points a game in the first round of the playoffs.
Grabe. 7 points.
I think a lot of New
He
York
scored
fans are
zero in game three.
disappointed.
He scored zero in game three.
Yeah, he did. You're correct, Gab. He scored 0 points in game three. And you hit it right on the nail, Sam. But this is not just a guy where they're paying 150 million for the next 4 seasons. This is a guy who I think they gave up 4 first round picks to get. So very huge investment that so far. This is classic New York. Overpaying for somebody who I don't think they should have paid this much.
I love that.
Gab.
He got the next bump. He was playing on a bad team, scoring 20 points a game, and the Nets kind of fleeced the Knicks. Like, yeah, take Mikal Bridges. He's from Villanova. He's buddies with your star. He scored 20 points a game for us. He can do the same for you. Fleece the Knicks. I can't believe the Nets fleeced the Knicks. And yeah, I mean, just look at his stat line. I mentioned the the egg that he put up in game 3, he scored 11, 10, 0, 8, and 7 points total for the first 5 games of the playoffs. He's had 2, 1, 1, 2, and 1 rebound. One rebound.
Grabe.
And 1, 2, 2, 1, 1 assists.
Oh my
He's had a
God.
total of 3 steals only in 5 games. What happened? He, they're
Where
choosing
is the value?
Deuce. Yeah, what's he doing on the court? Really?
Yeah.
Uh, you, if you look at what actually I'm because I didn't have Mikal Bridges on my list, Sammy, and I only just remembered it now. The fact that you mentioned this, sabi ko, oh, ano, he is a guy on the hot seat. He just
'Di ba?
sucks. He just sucks right
Stephen
now.
A.
And
Stephen A hates him.
oh, right after this, I'm gonna watch some Stephen A rants on Mikal Bridges because I'm sure he's angry. Like, oh, what is this guy doing? He's just doing cardio on the court like now for the New York Knicks. I don't know. Maybe it's a coaching thing. I mean, he did kind of complain at some parts of this season about Mike Brown's system and the opportunities he was getting. Uh, let's see how round if ever they make it to round 2. I'm interested how Mikal Bridges will perform. If he still sucks, good lord. It's a good thing that they have a guy that Mitch Robinson is healthy, that Deuce McBride is healthy after being injured for towards the end of the season. Jordan Clarkson still is even getting minutes over Bridges, and
True.
that's crazy, diba? Uh, yeah, I can't believe I didn't have him on my list. Any other mentions you before we end this, guys? I do have one. Daryl Morey, I think, is on the
I
hot
had him.
seat
I had him.
because he has formed this very expensive roster, and I don't know if they're gonna beat the Celtics. I would bet on it, but I I think for a team as expensive as this, you gotta get past the first round. And Nick Nurse, if ever they don't get past the first round, I think Nick Nurse is gonna be on the hot seat. He has not had much success with this Philadelphia 76ers team. You could say that they have a built-in excuse. The fact that their two stars, which they paid a lot of money, are always injured. Um, Maybe it's not their fault. No, it's not Nick Nurse's fault. It's not Maury's fault. But something has to change for Philadelphia. I mean, they assembled this roster and expensive, and they expect to win. They expect to make it far in the playoffs, and the fact that they still can't, probably will not, cause trouble for me. Maki Sam, any other honorable mentions?
Yeah, ako, actually, yun last pick ko. Chumempo. Great minds think alike talaga. I was gonna say Nick Nurse and even si Joel Embiid. I think what we learned this season about the Sixers is that maybe a reset is what they need. Maybe they need to move on from Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is just cursed at this point. Getting an appendicitis just before the playoffs when he's fully healthy finally. But yeah, I think with the emergence of Edgecombe, with the emergence of Tyrese Maxey is an All NBA player, and Edgecombe looks like a future All Star. I think they might have hit their peak with Embiid and George, and it might be time to try to get some value out of these two. I think si Paul George still has a lot left in him, not to become the first option or a second option. Maybe he could be that 3 and D for a team, for another team, much like his role in Philadelphia. Embiid could play for a team like Golden State. I don't know. So I would think that this could be a big reset for Philly. And Morey, as you mentioned, and Nick Nurse could be the guys who will go out first. Sam.
Yeah, I had Daryl Morey din kasi, just like sorry. Naririnig niyo ata yung ingay. But, just like who did I mention earlier? JB Bickerstaff, a guy like him, parang si Daryl Morey, he's built teams that have been really good during the season, that have made it to the conference finals, but they haven't really won a championship. So that's what's tough about this. And if your Philadelphia ownership spending a ton just to be kicked in the first round, then I don't think you're going to be happy with that. So Daryl Morey probably in the seat. I like the Nick Nurse pick. I think yung problem din with Nick Nurse, especially with the roster that they have, he likes to play like six guys. Parang he plays a very short rotation, and it's so bad for this team because you have two old guys, Joel Embiid and Paul George, who breaks down a lot, and then you have two young guys na okay, they can play a ton, but long term this is not going to be good for these guys. So I don't know, is Nick Nurse the best coach for this team? I'm not sure.
Sa inyo ko ba sinabi na Nick Nurse is Tibbs Jr.? I think oo ata eh.
Oh, tama actually. Tibbs Jr. exactly. I agree exactly. Tibbs Jr. Yun lang. I had Mori then as my last as an honorable mention.
All right. That's it for this episode. Our players slash coaches slash GMs on the hot seat so far in the playoffs. Tell us if in the comment section below who are your picks for players slash coaches slash GMs on the hot seat currently. Agree ba kayo na si LeBron? I think that's the most contentious one. Si Sammy chose far today yung against Maui and the LeBron fans. So do you agree with Sam? LeBron on the hot seat. And if again, just so you guys know, we're doing this in partnership with Pusupi. You can check out this episode and our previous episodes on Pusupi and join the score prediction game. Battle with us. Battle with Maui, who's in the top ranks of the score prediction game, and you can win some prizes courtesy of Smart. See you again next time. We'll be back around Monday, siguro, guys, no? Monday recap, some NSAC action. The playoffs have started. Ateneo is in action. FEU is in action. We'll see you guys then. Bye.